Hello, students. Good evening to all of you. Hope all are doing well, right? At home, wherever you are. And hopefully, you all are studying for the exam, right? And people who are working, hope you will receive your study leave or part of your study leave or whatever, right? And the things are happening really well, right? So, hopefully, right, all of you are on track for your exam, right? Students, and we must apologize for in the first instance for the kind of slight delay that has happened due to a slight technical issue that I think sorted out. So, and we have to be thankful for the CA Sri Lanka team, right? Because these kind of events are really, really great to build up your knowledge at the last moment, right? So, we are very thankful for CA Sri Lanka management. Specifically for Aruna and the Lakmini and the team and Lakmali, everybody for arranging these, because these are the things, students, has to happen, because you all will gather one last moment quality knowledge, right, with regard to how to answer, because this is the important thing, because how much amount of studies you do, right, how much amount of theory you do, if you are unable to apply that to an examination situation, students, you are in trouble. So therefore, this support CA Sri Lanka is supporting is also really important for all of you, right? Okay. So with all these students and with all the good blessings, let's start from where we have stopped last week. I think last week, in our last class, we have did the all MCQ questions, and we developed an examination strategy as well, right? Remember our strategy for the exam. So if anyone joining today as the first day, watch the previous video, students, the recording. So in that we have developed an examination strategy. So go to the strategy and develop it. So if you are conversant and if you are comfortable with the strategy, apply it. Because students, my advice to all of you, without a strategy, don't go to the exam, right? Because you all need to have a strategy to master at the exam. That's very important. Time management, right? By which questions that you have to take first, which questions you have to read at the reading time. All these are part of your strategy. Okay, so we did the MCQs and we did question number 2 thereafter. After MCQs, we did question number 2. Students, I think we didn't do the question number 3, right? Last time. Can I have your response? We have to start with question number 3 today. How about your response? We have to start with question 3. Just give us a yes or no, so then we know, right? Yes, we have to start with. Thanks, Ruan. So we have to start with question number 3. So thank you very much. So let's start with question number 3 without discussing anything else. So just I'll be sharing the screen. Let me share my screen with all of you. Yes, my screen is visible to all of you, right? Screen is visible. Right. Let's see. Question number 3. Students, read the requirement of the examiner. Pat quickly, right? So look at the requirement of the examiner. Required, considering the matters highlighted above, assess. You have to make a kind of an evaluation, right? Assessment. Assess. With the relevant information, you have to assess and you have to come up with a conclusion. Right here, you have to evaluate it and you have to come up with a conclusion. What is conclusion? Assess the acceptability of the review engagement. So you have to justify whether you are going to accept the review engagement. Students, review engagement. Review means, is it a reasonable assurance or limited assurance? What sort of an assurance you are going to provide? Reasonable or limited assurance are you going to provide? Which type of assurance you are going to do? Review. Limited assurance. Thank you, Nisha, Ruan, and all. Limited, right? It's a limited assurance you are going to provide. So we have to tell to the examiner, are we going to provide any assurance here or not? Right? Whether assurance there was an right? Review. We did. Nipun, we did question number 3 in last session. How about others? Guys, can I have your response quickly? Question number 3, did we do? We did, right? So then we have to go to question number 4. Is it? 3 done then, right? Then let's go to 4. Right. Okay. So let's do question number 4, right? Question number 4 again, padanga. So 4 we didn't do, right? We hatara karena. So we have to start with 4. No, right, Nipun. Thanks. Right? Thank you. Okay, quickly. Starting question number 4. Right. Good. Look at it. Look at the examiner's requirement. Required. Based on the information provided in the scenario, recognize key factors or attributes that should be considered when selecting the sample of debtors of MT to send balance confirmation request. Students, look at it. This is from your substantive procedures, detailed audit procedures, right? From receivables circularization, debtors confirmation. Based on the information provided in the scenario, recognize key factors or key attributes that should be considered when selecting the sample of debtors of MT to send balance confirmation request. Students, when selecting balance confirmation request samples, what are the factors you have to consider? Students, what are the 2 types of balance confirmation methods that we are going to use? අපි පාවිච්චි කරන balance confirmation methods මොනවාද? What are the 2 types of balance confirmation methods we are using? Can anyone respond? What are the 2 types of balance confirmation requests we are using? Adya, positive and negative. Positive means, students, you request the confirming party, the receivables or debtor, to confirm the balance even they agree or disagree. And negative confirmation means you request the confirming party to confirm the balance if they agree only. Agree or not, if they disagree only. So if they disagree only, they have to confirm in a negative confirmation. You call it as circularization of debtors as well. In these, students, we have identified in our study pack, we have been given, in our notes, we have given, when we call a sample of debtors, we have to be very mindful. When calling sample of debtors for balance confirmation, we have to be very mindful. Be mindful and not. Why? Students, that sample should be a representative sample. So we have to call confirmations from already paid up debtors. Negative balances, that means debtors with credit balances. That is quite unusual, no? Having a debtor with a credit balance is unusual. So call confirmations from them. Long outstanding debtors, large valued debtors, overdue debtors, already paid up debtors, zero balance debtors. So your balance confirmation request sample, students, should be a representative sample. So examiner is asking, out of these, which type of debtors you should call confirmations. So let's move on. Let's read the body. And part B, let's read the part B as well. Comment on the suitability, sufficiency of the sample selected by the audit senior to send confirmation request. Now we have to comment. We have to critically evaluate and we have to comment whether the sample selection method used by the audit senior is suitable or not. Right? So in the first part, examiner asks us to recognize what are the factors we have to use in selecting a sample in the given debtors. So part B examiner is asking, evaluate what type of balance confirmation method that the audit senior has used. So we have to critically evaluate and we have to comment on it. We have to say whether the balance confirmation request selection method is okay or not. So let's read it. Look at the body of the question. 10 marks. When you get these kind of questions, students, how many marks you should get? When you get this kind of a question, මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඔයාට ආවම ලකුණු කීයකට ටාගට් කරනවද? How many marks you are target? Can I have a response? 10 marks. And this is a kind of a all 10 marks, Aditya, no? All 10 marks. This is a kind of a full toss question, na? This is a very kind of a very easy full toss question. අර අපි කියන්නේ ක්‍රිකට් ගහනකොට දාලා දෙනවා කියලා ගහන්න කියලා මේකට. අන්න ඒ වගේ full toss question එකක් ළමයි. Very easy. කෙලින්ම 6 පාරක් ගහන්න තියෙනවා. Let's read. You are the audit manager for the audit of Mega Traders Private Limited. It's a private limited, MTE, for the year ended 31st March 2023. Your audit senior plans to send balance confirmation request to a sample of trade debtors. The following information is available. So your senior is to send balance confirmation request to a sample of debtors. The performance materiality for the audit engagement is determined to be 525,000. So the performance materiality set at 525,000. Students, Sri Lanka auditing standard number 320 audit materiality. Very important. Read that and go on. So materiality is 525,000. Company policy is to provide 30 to 60 days of credit to its customers. 30 to 60 days of credit to its customers. So students, I'm asking from you, when a debtor becomes overdue in this company, මේ company එකේ debtor කෙනෙක් overdue වෙන්නේ කවදද ඉඳලාද? From when a debtor becomes overdue and we have to be worried about? From when a debtor becomes overdue? Can I have a response? From when a debtor becomes overdue? Debtor overdue වෙන්නේ කවදද ඉඳලාද? Ruan, very good. After 61 days, right? Very good, right? Niyamai, Nipun and all, 61 days. So, should we call confirmations from debtors who are overdue 61 days and know about? Do we have to call confirmations from debtors overdue and overdue 61 above? Call confirmations or not? Yes, very good. Very good, guys. Niyamai. You guys understand. A team member of the audit team has agreed the total of debtor balance in the aging report, May balance sector, the total of the age report is 6.7 million. 6.7, this closing balance has been agreed to the general ledger debtors account. Is that an adequate procedure? That is a completeness testing. It is not adequate. We have to test existence. We have to test rights and obligations. We have to test valuation. All this, what he has done is only completeness testing. He has matched the total of the aging analysis with what? With the ledger account. Debtors aging is provided below. All amounts in rupees. Debtor code given. Debtors code has been given, Lamai. Balance given. So see, this debtor, this is the code means the individual debtor who is having code number 1235, having a balance of 292,000. Current performing balance 120,000. 30 to 60 days, 65,000. But the guy has 61 to 90 days a credit balance, Lamai. Maybe a dispute. Maybe sometimes students, we don't know. So should we call confirmations from 1235? Credit balance nang api gennan ona. And that particular debtor has 186,000 overdue. 186,000 more than 6 months. So 1235 we have to call confirmations. This guy 1240. See students, 800 is the balance. But 91 to 180 days you have a credit balance, but over 180 days you have a debit balance which is long overdue. Should 1240 is a kind of a concern to us or not? 1240 concern or not? Call confirmations or not? 1240. Yes, you should. 1241 Lamai, again 87,000 current out of 242,000. 61 to 90, 165,000. Again concerned. 1242 seems to be okay, where more part is current. 1243 again long overdue. 1244 credit balance. 1245 current debtor, it's okay. 1245 okay, but large value, loku value එකක් තියෙන කෙනෙක් 1245 large value, and we see large values in both current bucket and 31 to 60 bucket, so better to call confirmations. This again credit balance. See this guy, 1301. No sales during last 2 months, but more than 2 months and more than 3 months, massive values. This one is okay, 1303, 1305. Again, credit balance, we have to call confirmations. This is okay. This guy, 1351, he has not paid even at all. 135 major part is more than 91 days. The audit senior had selected the following trade debtors to send balance confirmation request to. He is of the view that the sample below covers the materiality set for the engagement. He says debtor code 1245 and 1301 only. 1245 means the large value and 1301 only. Students, I am asking from you, is the two debtor codes selected by the audit senior adequate or not? If you can answer this question, 10 marks is yours. Is the sample selected adequate or not? Can I have your response in the chat box, everyone? Response in the chat box, adequate or not? What's your response, everybody? The sample is not adequate. Sample is not adequate, guys. Because why? He has not selected the credit balances. He has not selected all overdue balances. He has not selected the long outstanding balances, right? He has not selected them. So his sample is not adequate. So shall we answer this? Part A, based on the information provided in the scenario, recognize key factors, attributes that should be considered when selecting a sample of debtors of MT to send balance confirmation request. Write down. Right there in your notebook. The following characteristics and attributes. The following characteristics and attributes. The following characteristics and attributes has to be considered by the audit senior when calling confirmations. When calling confirmations from a sample of debtors. Number one, the large valued debtor balances. The large valued debtor balances whose balances are more than rupees 525,000. Whose balances are more than rupees 525,000, which is the performance materiality. Balances are more than rupees 525,000, which is the performance materiality. So let's provide some examples as well. What do you examples take with it? Examples: data codes 1242, 1243, 1245, 1242, 1243, 1245, 1301, and 1352, etc. You don't need all, just put etc. 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 Number two, second one, overdue debtors, overdue debtors, overdue debtors who are having overdue debtors who are having balances unpaid beyond 61 days. Overdue debtors who are having balances unpaid beyond 61 days. So make it specific for the question. Who are having balances beyond 61 days. Example 1235, 1241, etc. 1235, 1241, etc. Third one, number three, debtors with debtors with debtors with unusual credit balances. Debtors with unusual credit balances. Debtors with unusual credit balances. Example 1235, 1235, 1240, 1244, etc. 1244, etc. Next one, debtors who have not paid at all. Debtors who have not paid at all. ගෙවපු නැතිම කට්ටිය. සල්ලි ගත්ත මාරුණා. Right? බඩු මිලට ගත්ත මාරුණා. Right? Debtors who have not paid at all. 1351. Example 1351. That guy, students, purchased and then vanished. 1351, 1243, 1243, etc. Next one. Next one. Any debtors who have settled as at the balance sheet date. Any debtors who have already settled as at the balance sheet date. Right. Okay, so students, for 4 marks, that's enough, right? ලකුණු 4යිනේ අපිට දෙන්නේ. 4 marks, that is enough. Shall we move to part B? Everybody, let's go to part B, students. Comment on the suitability or the sufficiency. Sufficiency. What is meant by sufficiency? Students, audit evidence should be sufficient and appropriate. What is meant by sufficiency? SL Sri Lanka auditing standard number 500. What is meant by sufficiency? Sufficiency කියලා කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? What is sufficiency? Can you all remember? Sufficiency means the amount of evidence, the quantity. That's really good, right? Riyas, Vidushan and Basit all, very good, right? Sufficiency means the amount, the quantity of evidence that you call. Nisha, good, right? So on which the sufficiency dependent on? Sufficiency dependent මොකක් මතද? On which factor sufficiency will be dependent on? Sufficiency of the audit evidence will be dependent on which factor? Can anyone remember? මතකද? Sri Lanka auditing standard number 500. Sufficiency will be dependent on, right? Very good. Not materiality, Riyas. No, not appropriate relevance. No, 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 no. Yes, it's quantity. Sufficiency will be dependent on R. Again, it starts with R. Basit, very good, right? Sufficiency will be dependent on what? The risk of material misstatements. Relevance and reliability goes to what? Appropriateness, the quality, right? Relevance and reliability goes to the quality, right? Sufficiency of audit evidence dependent on the risk of the item. Okay, so when we are answering, students, focus on those factors as well. Comment on the sufficiency, suitability of the sample selected by the audit senior to send confirmation request. So this too is not enough, students, given the risk we have, right? We have credit balances, we have already unpaid accounts. So justify your answer with that. Answer examiner kelima kiyanna, tell him the two data codes that has been selected is insufficient because the risk of material misstatements here is so high. Why? Why the risk of material misstatements is high? Because you have long overdue debtors, because you have already in, I would say, more than 6 months category debtors, you have credit balances which are unusual. So those representative samples have not been selected. So write down your answer. Write down the answer. The sample select, answer to part B, right? Part B answer. The sample selected by the audit senior, the sample selected by the audit senior, which includes debtor codes, one, 2, 4, 5, and includes debtor codes 1, 2, 4, 5 and 1301. And 1301 are not sufficient. Are not sufficient given the risk factors. Given the risk factors given the risk factors faced by MT MT in its receivable balances. MT in its receivable balances. Below that explained, further comment. The audit senior, the audit senior has selected two large valued debtors for confirmations. Audit senior has selected two large valued debtors, 1245 and 1301 for confirmations. Which are above the materiality level. Okay, students. Continue writing. Sorry, slight technical hiccup. Am I audible to all of you? Can you all hear me? Hopefully, yes,
Yes,
right?
we can hear.
Right. Thank you. So, continue writing. Yes, thanks. So, continue writing. From here, start, right? Methrin Patangan. Whatever you have written so far, just from there onwards, right here. The debtor balances above the materiality. Debtor balances above the materiality, which are 1352, which are 1352, comma 1301, sorry, 1352, comma 1242, 1242, and 1243, and 1243 are not being selected by the audit senior. So this guy has not selected them, right? Are not being selected by the audit senior. Next one, write down, students. There is a high risk. Next line, there is a high risk when a particular debtor has a credit balance. There is a high risk when a particular debtor has a credit balance, which is quite unusual. Which is quite unusual. Quite unusual. Such as 1305, such as 1305, comma 1244, and 1235, and 1235. And the existence of these debtors, and the existence of these debtors are not being tested by the audit senior. Students, we have to test the existence of these debtors, right? Existence of these debtors are not being tested by the audit senior. Full stop. And students, we don't know whether within this particular debtors, right, from 1235 to up to 1352, up to these debtors, we don't know whether there are any debtors who are having a dispute with your client. Most students, when you are selling on credit, right, there can be disputes. You tell the debtor that he has to pay, and the debtor will say he has already paid. Disputes will be there. So the selected sample is only a quantitative sample. Above the materiality level, he has selected. But that particular sample has not identified the qualitative factors in the debtor's balance. So some debtors will have disputes with you. Some debtors will have, I would say, already paid up lamai. Can be, right? The method paid up karabu kattiya varaganat naha. Now, sometimes students, you would have heard a kind of a fraud which is known as teaming and lading. Teaming and lading means at the date of the balance sheet, you have somehow settled that debtor because that debtor account is a kind of a manipulative account. So already paid up debtors, you have not called confirmations. So only quantitative factors based on materiality we have selected. Only two debtors. So qualitative factors have not been selected. So write down. The audit senior has selected. Audit senior has selected Audit senior has selected the debtor codes 1245 and 1301. The debtor codes 1245 and 1301 purely based on purely based on the value. Purely based on value. However, certain qualitative factors such as already paid up debtors, comma, debtors who may have a dispute with the client, the debtors who may have a dispute with the client, and their existence have not been tested. Another one, the debtors who are having balances beyond the credit period. The debtors who are having the balances beyond the credit period, which increases the risk of impairment, which are having balances beyond the credit period, which increases the risk of impairment, and the risk of bad and doubtful debts. Are not being considered. Are not being considered. Are not being considered by the audit senior. Are not being considered by the audit senior, which is a clear lack of sufficiency. From the part of the audit senior. Clear lack of sufficiency from the part of audit senior. 6 marks. So critically say that the audit senior sample is insufficient. So at the first point we told that, right? Palaveni point එක අපි කිව්වා මේක sufficient නැහැ. We told him that this sample is insufficient. Okay, students, 10 marks altogether, right? Shall we move to question number 5? But quickly. Question number 5. Look at it. Look at the examiner's requirement. Question number 5, part A. Look at his requirement. Required, part A, point 1, state which element of the system of quality control include the development of and issuance of an audit manual. Students, Sri Lanka Standards on Quality Management, SLSQM 1 and 2, right? So these are revised areas. May they come a revised which areas? Sri Lanka Standards on Quality Management 1 and 2, SLSQM 1, SLSQM 2, right? Revised areas. So revised standard you have to adhere to, you have to check, you have to work on. So as per Sri Lanka Standards on Quality Management 1 and 2, as well as Sri Lanka standards, Sri Lanka auditing standard number 220, audit quality control, 220 audit quality control. Examiners state which element of system of quality control include development of an issuance of an audit manual. Students, development of an issuance of an audit manual. Audit manual එකක් develop කරලා issue කරන එක ළමයි මොන part එකටද අයිති වෙන්නේ? Is it under human resource management? Is it under coming under engagement performance? Is it coming under monitoring, review, development of an issuance of an audit manual? Good old days audit program again. Then if you have audit manual, if you have audit program, your audit team knows at the engagement what they have to do. Let's say if you get receivables to evaluate, if you get let's say property plant and equipments to test, if you get let's say receivables, accounts receivables or revenue to test, you have a laid down procedures that is given in a standard manual. So audit firms develop audit manuals where their trainees can refer to. That's part of a quality control activity of the audit firm. Having audit program, having an audit manual. Students, is it human resource management? Is it monitoring? Or is it engagement performance? Having a quality audit manual, what is it as per your audit quality control? Is it HR, engagement performance, or monitoring, review, or whatever? What's your answer, students? Audit manual එකක් තියෙන එක human resource ද නැත්නම් engagement performance, or is it review? What sort of activity? It's what? It is a Basit, thanks, right? It's a part of engagement performance. Audit team, yes, Nisha, very good, right? Audit team knows what to do. මොනවද කරන්න ඕන කියලා audit team එක දන්නවා. They know what to do if they have a proper audit manual. Let's go to part B. Students, එක තියෙනවා human resource කියලා part එකක්. There is some part called human resource management. Under human resource management, you have to have recruitment, performance evaluation, proper performance evaluation. Then you should have a proper capability development, training, right? Then you have, let's say, career development, promotion. All these are coming under human resource management. Then direction, supervision, review and all coming under engagement performance, right? Then you have a review activity, hot review and cold review. Remember them. Hot review, cold review, review. Then students, monitoring of your quality control activities. Then the quality control framework, can you remember? Input, process and output. Remember all these and go, right? Part 2. Describe 4 sub-elements that came across under the area of the system of quality control identified in 1 above. In 1, we have identified engagement performance. Students, examine asking, under engagement performance, identify 4 areas that coming under engagement performance. Engagement performance in areas 4ක් අහන්නේ. What are those? Direction, supervision, review, consultation. Can you remember? මතකයිනේ? Direction, supervision, review, consultation. Bashit, very good. Others also. If you are unable to remember, go back to your quality control videos, quality control notes, quality control revised areas. Go back and get them sorted out, right? Nisha, very good. Monitoring, direction, supervision, control. Ruan, good, fantastic, fascinating, everybody. Very good, right? Review, resolution of disputes. Basit, good job, good job. 2 and 4. Full toss, make a full toss prashnayak lamai. Gana din high parak, right? It's a full toss question. See, may areas balagan and lamai. When I discussed these with in the post-examination review meetings at your CS Sri Lanka, with the CS Sri Lanka management, students, these areas, many of you don't bother to look at even, right? Assurance engagements, related services, then lamai quality control, digitalization, ethics, may areas, internal audit. These areas, watch and go. Go through, thoroughly go through. internal audit, quality control, assurance and related services, ethics, right? Digitalization. These areas has to go through not only the audit process, auditing standards, right? For those areas, again, you have about 40% syllabus concentration. Auditing standards also important, right? But these areas are also important for you to get the prize and the pass mark. Have to go through, right? Everyone, remember, නිකන් උඩින් පල්ලෙන් බල්ල යන්න එපා. හැමෝම බල්ල මේට යන්න. Let's go to read this. The regulatory inspections performed on the audit engagement of S&K Associates, S&K, noted a number of deficiencies in the quality of the audit work performed. There are deficiencies in audit quality. In responding to the deficiencies in the quality of the audit work performed by S&K Associates, S&K, the S&K recently developed an audit manual to comply with the Sri Lanka auditing standards and other policies such as independence. So the firm, due to the quality defects that were there, they developed an audit manual. This was made available to all staff, and the audit partners conducted an awareness session on the audit manual to all the audit staff. So part 1, state which element of the system of quality control include development and issuance of audit manual. So write down answer to part 1. Question number 5, part A, Roman number 1. 5A1. 5A1. Write down. Having an audit manual. Having an audit manual for the audit team to refer. For the audit team to refer. Is part of audit engagement performance. Part of engagement performance. As per SLS QM1, SLS QM2, and Sri Lanka auditing standard number 220 audit quality control, and SLA US 220 audit quality control. Sri Lanka auditing standard number 220 audit quality control. Right. Students, Roman number 2, see, describe, right? And method, point, right? This is the point. Describe 4 sub-elements that you come across under the area of system of quality control identified in 1 above. Students, when the examiner asks you an action verb called describe, describe කරන්න. Is it just listing down, or should you need some explanation under each? Is it only listing down, or should you need some explanation? What's your response? Explanation නොනද නැත්නම් නිකන් list කරනවා විතරද? What do you think? Very good, Nisha. Right, Ruan and all. Need part of the explanation. Gimhani, Harshan and all. Very good, right? Very good. Need part of explanation. Everybody see that, right? Method Nikamma list karanne and direction, supervision, review, and control consultation. Just don't write it. It is listing, right? So describe means you have to just put some addition, right? Put the addition done. So write down as per as per SLSQM1, as per SLSQM1, and SLSQM2, this is Roman number 2, as per SLSQM2, engagement performance should include engagement performance should include engagement performance should include following elements. Should include following elements. Include following elements. Number 1. Number 1. Direction. 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 Below that explained. The audit team needs. The audit team needs. Needs direction by way of direction by way of having a proper audit manual, having a proper audit manual, comma, deadlines, comma, targets, and audit objectives clearly listed. Targets and audit objectives clearly listed. Right. Number 2, students, second one, supervision. 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 Again, I'm repeating, these areas are critical. Watch and go, right? Balanna thona yande pa quality control. Number 2, supervision. Supervision. Let's give me a moment. Thanks. Supervision. Students, under supervision, write down audit team has to be supervised. Audit team has to be supervised with progress of the audit monitored. With progress of the audit monitored, comma, progress meetings held on time. Progress meetings held on time. Progress monitored. Progress meetings held on time. To complete the audit on time. To complete the audit on time. Next one, students, consultation. Consultation. Number 3. Consultation. Consultation. Below that, write down. Explain. So you have to describe it. If the audit team doesn't have if the audit team doesn't have proper knowledge proper knowledge, comma, the relevant knowledge has to be received. The relevant knowledge has to be received. Has to be received. From within and outside the audit firm. To be received from within and outside the audit firm. Within and outside the audit firm. Next one, students, review. Fourth one, review. A timely review of, explain it, describe it. A timely review of significant work done, comma, risk areas, significant work done, comma, risk areas has to happen to ensure audit quality. Has to happen to ensure audit quality. Okay, very good. Students, go to part B. Everybody, part quickly. Part B. Look at the examiner's requirement for part B. Part B. Assess the view of the audit senior. Now, audit senior may be having a particular view, right? He may be having a particular judgment. Assess the view of the audit senior about the review by the engagement quality control reviewer, mentioning whether you agree or disagree with his view. Assess the view of the audit senior about the review by the engagement quality control quality reviewer, mentioning whether you agree or you disagree with the view of the audit senior. Students, audit senior may be having a particular view about the engagement quality control reviewer's review. So we have to say whether it is agreed or disagree, whether you are agree or disagree with the quality review, and what? And you have to justify your answer. Answer justify කරන්නත් ඕන. Anisha, resolution of the we needed 4 only. So if you need resolution of dispute, you can put it as well, right? It's also a part of the answer. Good job, right? I think written down 4 resolution is dispute. If you need, write down, no problem. It is also part of engagement performance, right? No problem. Okay. So part B, you have to tell the examiner whether you agree or disagree with the view of the senior about the quality control, and we have to back can justify our answer. ළමයි back කරලා justify කරන්න ඕන answer එක, right? So see, බලන්න. You are the audit manager of Sunflower Private Limited for the year ended 31st March 2023. The audit has been identified as a high risk audit engagement, as there had been restatement of the financial statements of the previous year. Students, I'm just asking from you, from your gut feeling, if the audit is categorized as a high risk audit, do we need a quality review or not? If the audit categorized as a high risk audit, do we need a quality review or not? What is your answer? High risk audit na quality review or not? What do you think? On your gut feeling? Yes. Basit, Gimani, Darshani, good. Nisha, good. We need, right? Typically, on our judgment, right? Gut feeling, Ruan, Harshan and all. Very good, right? We need gut feeling. We need a quality review. Because last 2 years, there were previous restatement of accounts. The company also facing significant financial difficulties. Going concern issues are also there. As such, as required by the audit firm's policy, the engagement partner appointed an engagement quality control reviewer. Quality control reviewer has been appointed. The engagement partner has completed his review. But the engagement quality control reviewer is yet to complete the review. Partner review done. Quality reviewer has not yet completed the review. The audit senior is of the view that the engagement quality control reviewer is not required to complete the review of the engagement, as it is a private company and no new issues have arisen during the current year audit engagement. Students, senior said, we don't need the review of the quality control reviewer to be done because the partner has already done, and there are no changes in the current audit year engagement as well. I'm asking from you, significant risk. Client is facing going concern issues. Senior's view, correct or incorrect? What do you think? Senior කියන එක හරිද වැරදිද ළමයි? Correct view or incorrect view? All, can I have your answers? Malsha, Ruan, okay. Darshani, Darushka, good. Nisha and all. What do you think? Harshana, thanks. Correct view or incorrect view? Incorrect view. Incorrect. I'm just asking. First, I'm asking. Now, reading these questions. Is your CL1 paper difficult? මෙනියම් කියවුවාම මම නිකන් අහන්නේ paper difficult ද නැද්ද මට නිකන් උත්තරයක් දෙන්නකෝ බලන්න. Yes or no එකක් දෙන්න. Is this paper difficult or not? Can I have a response? What do you think? Right? Ruan, yes. Not at all, right? Only thing, our approach is the problem. Yes. Atya, yes. Basit, not that, right? අපේ approach එකේ තමයි issue එක තියෙන්නේ, right? දැන් මේක මේව තිබුණාට ළමයි මේක අපි ලියන්න ගියාම නානවා, right? Okay, I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you, right? ලියන්න ගියාම කට්ටිය නානවා මේක. ඇයි නාන්නේ? Right? You need to have a strategy. Right? Strategy එකකින් answer කරන්න. So if you want to see our strategy which we have developed, see the last video. Last video එක බලන්න, people who are watching the recording බලන කට්ටිය last video එක බලන්න. In that we have developed a strategy. අපේ අපි කරන්න ළමයි අපි time වෙනස් කරගන්නවා, we run out of time, right? Panic වෙනවා, හරියට කියවන්නේ නැහැ, we don't read properly. But the papers of the examiner are quite good quality papers. These are very well standard and any student can answer. ඕන එක්කෙනෙක් ඕගලන්ට මේකට answer කරන්න පුළුවන් ළමයි. Very easy. Shall we write down? Write the answer. ලියමු උත්තරේ. Write down. Part B, Roman 1. Write down the answer. Straightforward, tell the examiner that the view of the audit senior is incorrect. Write down. The view of the audit senior is incorrect, and we are not agreed. We are not agreed. With the view of there is no requirement for quality review completion. There is no requirement for quality control review. Next line, write down. ඊළඟ line එක ලියන්න ළමයි. The audit of Sunflower Private Limited is categorized as a high risk audit. As well as comma as well as sunflower is facing going concern issues. Sunflower is facing going concern issues, which all leads and warrants a quality review response. Leads and warrants a quality review response from the audit team. Students, I am asking you another question. Quality review partner sign off needed for the engagement partner to sign the audit report. Is it a hot review or cold review? Hot review or cold review is that? Hot or cold? Basit, Nisha? Super. Darshani, very good. Darshani, it's what? It's a hot review, Hot review. Gimhani, very good, right? Cold deme, it's a hot review. So write down. At a time of a hot review scenario, the sign off of the sign off of engagement quality review partner is needed for the engagement partner to sign off. Quality review partner is needed for the engagement partner to sign off. The audit report. Hence, the view, hence we disagree with the view of the audit senior, and engagement quality review partner's signature and engagement quality review partners review and sign off. Engagement quality review partners review and sign off is needed for engagement partner to sign off due to risk factors. Okay, students. Okay. Right. So shall we move on to question number 6? The 20 marks question. Students, our strategy, you are free to apply it or not. Question number 6 and 7. When are you reading? 6 and 7 fully. When are you going to read this? 6 and 7, when are you going to read? At the reading time, right? 6 and 7 read at the reading time. Don't allow 6 and 7 to read at the exam time. Exam time again 6 and 7 you will run out of time. Mark my words, guaranteed. 6 and 7 fully read at the reading time. At the reading time, don't read anything else. Reading time okay, right? So shall we read the question number 6? Part ABC first. Official ABC Kiyomu 20 marks question. So for 15 marks, 6, 3, 6. There are part ABC. Let's read. Sorry. From the matters identified from the initial meeting, assess 3 risks of material misstatements at the assertion level. 3 risks of material misstatements at the assertion level you should consider during the audit of SS for the year ended 31st March 2023. From the matters identified in the initial meeting, assess 3 risks of material misstatements at the assertion level you should consider during the audit of SS. So students, 3 risks of material misstatements you have to assess. 6 marks. I'm just asking from you. When the examiner tells you risk of material misstatements, what are the 2 elements of risk of material misstatements? Risk of material misstatements has 2 elements, Lamai. What are those 2? Risk of material misstatements, what are the 2 elements of that? Risk of material misstatements are elements. Can anyone tell me? Can you put that in chat box? Risk of material misstatements has 2 elements. What they are? What is there? Not error and fraud. Taraka, error and fraud neme. Dhammika, no. No. Nisha, Umesh, overall financial statement risk, no. Assertion level, no. What are those? Risk of material misstatements has 2 parts. Inherent risk and what is the other one? Inherent risk and remember, control risk. Vidushan, Bashit, Nisha. Risk of material misstatements has 2 elements. One is inherent risk. That is the susceptibility of account balance getting misstated without considering internal controls. Susceptibility at account balance or transaction getting misstated due to its nature without considering any internal controls. Like what? Like the borrowing cost, like related party transactions, like Lamai, taxation, deferred tax, estimated accounts, right? Fair value estimates. Without even considering internal controls, you can say these accounts can be misstated. Inherent risk. The other one is the control risk. Control risk means, students, your internal controls are unable to prevent, detect, and correct misstatements. So inherent risk and control risk taken together, we call it as risk of material misstatements. When the risk of material misstatements are high, for you to make audit risk low, ultimately, students, you have to reduce the audit risk. No, we have to reduce the audit risk, and we have to say that we have to ensure that our risk of we provide inappropriate audit opinion reduce. At a time when the risk of material misstatements are high, when inherent risk and control risk is high, what we got to do for the detection risk? Our detection risk we have to increase the detection risk or lower the detection risk. Nisha, very good. Detection risk has to be lowered. How we are going to lower the detection risk? Our detection risk is Students, this is Sri Lanka auditing standard number 200, 315, 330 in areas. Detection risk how we are going to reduce the detection risk? Danushika, very good. Nisha, very good. Increase the size of the sample, reduce the materiality level, more direction, supervision, and review, right? Materiality level. You can respond at two levels. Walamai respond karna levels dekadi. At overall financial statement level and assertion level. Remember, very good, right? Very good, everybody. Niyamai. Potta balanna, SLF is 200, 315, 330. Those standards just go through, right? Standards on the balagan. Right. From the matters identified from the initial meeting, assess three risks of material misstatements at the assertion level. Where assertion level misstatements can happen. Where, let's say, valuation of assets, where accuracy of transactions, where, let's say, rights and obligations of assets and liabilities. Risk can happen in assertion level. Assertion level misstatement when should consider three at the audit of assets. Part B, outline one audit response each for the three risks of material misstatements at the assertion level identified in the above. For each risk you identified, develop your response. Students, A and B, what's the best way that you have to show to the examiner? A kai B kai examiner pennanne kohomada? Is it under paragraph or table? A, on one side you put the risk, B, you put the response on the other side. Okay, so table type dunna nan hari. Danushika, very good, right? Nisha, good. Table ekak damu, risk on one side and response on other side. In addition to the information gathered in A and B above, demonstrate how you plan to test whether the preparation of the financial statements on a going concern basis is appropriate. Sri Lanka auditing standard number 570. Pansiya Hattava. Whether going concern basis is appropriate, your audit procedures you have to provide. Students, read the examiner's questions again. Questions read the questions once again, back again. Read the questions once again, everyone. Okay, so shall we read? Look at it. Question number 6. SS Manufacturers Private Limited. It's a limited liability company, but private limited liability company. SS is a plastic product manufacturer who supplies products to both retail and wholesale customers in the local market. So local market, both retail and wholesale customers, they cater to. RD Associates is a firm of chartered accountants, audit firm, is the statutory auditor of SS for the financial year ended 31st March 2023. So, for the financial year ended 31st March 2023, this audit firm, R&T Associates, is the audit firm. You are an audit manager at R&T Associates. The following matters were noted during the initial meeting with the management of SS held in January 2023. So, audit kickoff meeting you had with the management of the company. The construction, now we have to look for risk of material misstatements. The chances of inherent risk and control risk can happen. See, the construction of a new plant in Horana, which was planned during 2021, fully financed by bank borrowings, which is obtained in January 2022, right? So plant which was fully financed by a bank borrowing. Bank loan එකකින් තමයි ළමයි මේ factory හදන්න යන්නේ. They are going to construct this factory through a bank loan, which is to be obtained on January 2022. Construction of the plant commenced in February 2022, but it has been suspended since June 2022. Plant construction has been suspended since July 2022 due to the non-availability of construction material and the escalation of construction material cost caused by the economic crisis. SS, capitalize the borrowing cost. Any risk you identified here? Lamai, මෙතන මොකක් හරි risk එකක් identify කරාද? Can I have your response? Any risk of material misstatements you identified here? Put your answer in the chat box. Any risk you identified here? Any risk? Plant construction was financed by a bank loan. So you capitalize the borrowing cost. But what happened? During the suspended period of construction, Lamai, when the construction is suspended, LKS 23, borrowing cost. At the time of the construction suspended, can you capitalize that? You can't. Taraka, Basit, and all, right? Everybody who responded. Shamil, plant construction capitalization is a risk, right? So I think what had happened? The method misstatement misstatement. What is misstatement? Capital work in progress, overvalued or undervalued. Capital work in progress, overstated or understated. Misstatement again. Capital work in progress, overstated or understated. Risk overstated. Very good, everybody. Overvalued, overstated. Good job, good job. Exam overstatement due to borrowing cost misstated during the construction suspended period, even borrowing cost has been recognized. So what are your response? Our response karana komada? Obtain a schedule of borrowing cost, capitalize, and request the management to remove, right? To remove the borrowing cost that has been capitalized during the suspended time. So see part 2. Due to the government introducing import restrictions on some of the raw materials and the lack of US dollars in the banks, SS had to restrict production in its existing manufacturing plant located in Jayala. Production suspended in plant located in Jayala. Therefore, it was not operating at its full capacity and was not able to fulfill large customer orders received from wholesale customers until the third quarter of the year. SS values its finished goods using the standard cost method, where the wages and overheads were absorbed using standard production and updated beginning of each year. Students, what had happened? They valued inventory at the standard cost, not at the actual cost. So what had happened? Even that the production has been not done, right? Material cost not absorbed. Even students, wages cost has not been incurred. You have already valued your stock. Based on the standard cost at the beginning of the year, you have valued the inventory. What's the misstatement? Misstatement overstatement of inventory. Taraka Malsha, very good, right? Inventory value is not correct. It's overstated. So what we have to do? We have to physically inspect the inventory. We have to identify the schedules of inventory cost that has been charged, match them with the actual inventory cost that has been incurred, ask the management to reverse back the inventory cost overvalue. That's all, students. That's a response. Go to part 3. දැන් මේක හන්දා ළමයි දැන් they don't have orders, they have import restrictions. Because of all these, what does the managed company is facing? මේ ඔක්කොම නිසා company එක face කරන්නේ මොකද? What's the risk? Going concern and risk of impairment. Agree? Impairment of property, plant and equipment. Okay, shall we read further? After revising the prices in the last quarter to factor the due to cost escalations, the company experienced less demand, impairment risk of impairment for its products, and finished goods stock held at the company's own trading center that has increased. So inventory obsolete, impairment risk is also there. You have received the following summary of financial information. Now see students, property, plant and equipments, last year 865 million, this year 1.1 billion due to capital work in progress. Inventory values have increased, accounts receivables increased, cash and cash equivalents. Look at cash. Any problem with cash? Cash flow problem at 36 million has gone down to how much? Cash and cash equivalents. 36 million has gone down to 673. I see risk of going concern lamai. Higher reduction. Okay, inventory value inaccurate. Look at accumulated loss. Only 875 million loss. This year, accumulated loss 110 million accumulated loss, students. See, it will erode the stated capital as well. Borrowing has increased by significant amount. Short-term borrowings also increased. Non-current assets, all these are there. So see, the gearing position is also now deteriorated. From the matters identified from the initial meeting, assess 3 risk of material misstatements at the assertion level, outline 1 response each. In addition to the information gathered A and B above, demonstrate how you plan to test whether the preparation of financial statements on a going concern basis is appropriate. Students, develop a table. Develop a table with 2 columns. On one side, A, risk of material misstatements. On the other side, B, audit response. Table everyone, develop your table. So shall we write down? Part A, first one, students, right? First one, first risk, risk. Write down capitalization of borrowing cost. Capitalization of borrowing cost. And underline. and underline. And then same column A පැත්තම ළමයි explain කරන්න එක. Because examiner's action verb is to assess. So explain it, assess it. As per LKS 23, as per Sri Lanka Accounting Standard number 23, LKS 23, the capitalization of borrowing cost, the capitalization of borrowing cost has to be suspended, has to be suspended has to be suspended at times of construction being suspended. Construction being suspended by the entity. Construction being suspended by the entity. However, with the given information, it seems that management of SS has capitalized the borrowing cost. Management of SS has capitalized the borrowing cost, which will overstate the value of capital work in progress. Which will overstate the value of capital work in progress. Overstate the value of capital work in progress. Right. Students, on your right hand side, audit response. ඔයාගේ දකුණු අත පැත්තේ දාන්න audit response එක. Audit response, write down. Auditors have to obtain, auditors have to obtain, have to obtain auditors have to obtain a schedule of the auditors have to obtain a schedule of the borrowing cost capitalized, a schedule of the borrowing cost capitalized in order to identify the accuracy. Tell the assertion, right, that you are going to test. In order to identify the accuracy of the borrowing cost. Accuracy of the borrowing cost capitalized. Accuracy of the borrowing cost capitalized. Next line. Same column, ekama column ekේ. Same column. Recalculate the borrowing cost computation. Recalculate the borrowing cost computation to calculate accuracy of the borrowing cost. Recalculate the accuracy of the borrowing cost. Number 2, second risk lamai. Risk number 2, overstatement of inventory. On the right hand side, second risk, overstatement of inventory. So explain it. SS users standard cost SS uses standard cost to absorb its inventory cost. To absorb its overheads to inventory cost. To absorb its overheads to inventory cost. And at a time when the factory is not operating, and at a time when the factory is not operating, at its full capacity. At a time when the factory is not operating at its full capacity, there is there is a risk of overvaluing inventory, overstating, overvaluing inventory by using standard cost, which do not consider the actual which do not consider the actual production, which do not consider the actual production. Which do not consider the actual production. Which do not consider the actual production. So students, on your right hand side, your response. What response ka daan lamai? Right hand side again. So what you're going to do? Inquire from the management, right? Ask from the management, hey, why, which kind of basis have you changed your basis of overhead absorption? And for few of the cost line items which has been capitalized, see whether students obtain schedules and see the accuracy of cost calculations. Perform some recalculations. Recalculations, see the calculation accuracy, right? You got to do all those. So write down on your right hand side. Perform recalculations on inventory values, physically inspect the inventories, in order to evaluate accuracy and existence. Another one, obtain a schedule of overheads capitalized in, obtain a schedule of overheads absorbed into inventory, obtain a schedule of overheads absorbed into inventory to evaluate the accuracy of inventory values. Right. The third one, students, impairment of property, plant and equipments. Number 3, impairment of property, plant and equipments. Underline it. Third risk, impairment of property, plant and equipments, which is the third risk. So write down multiple indicators of impairment were observed. Multiple indicators of impairment were observed. Such as, such as, such as drop in demand, drop in demand, comma, import restrictions, import restrictions, slow moving inventories, drop in demand, import restrictions, comma, slow moving inventories, all of which are indicators that property, plant and equipments are subjected to impairment. Property, plant and equipments are subjected to impairment. Property, plant and equipments are subjected to impairment, and their values are overstated. And their values are overstated. And their values are overstated. Right. Go to your right hand side, your response. Response. So what you got to do? You got to perform a value in use computation, right? You got to estimate the fair value. You got to do a present value of future cash flows. To do a value in use computation, recompute that. Obtain management's impairment assessment and see the reasonability of the assumptions. So write down. Obtain the impairment assessment of the management. Obtain the impairment assessment of the management. Your response, huh? Obtain the impairment assessment of the management in order to identify the reasonability of the assumptions used by them, comma, accuracy of the computations, etc. Students, for this, what is the auditing standard relevant? Sri Lanka auditing standard number 540, auditing accounting estimates, right? SLAS 540, auditing accounting estimates is the relevant auditing standard here. Okay, next one. Our response done. Reperform the value in use computation. Reperform the value in use computation, comma, estimate fair value and present value of future cash flows. Estimate fair value and present value of future cash flows. In order to identify accuracy of impairment estimation. Right? Okay. Good. Students, part C. Look at part C. Part C වලට අපිට කතා කරලා අපි උත්තරයක් හදාගමු ළමයි. In addition to the information gathered, right? Tarak, I will come back to your question, right? After question number C, we will discuss it. In addition to the information gathered in A and B above, risk and response, demonstrate how you plan to test whether the preparation of the financial statements on a going concern basis is appropriate. Relevant auditing standard, Sri Lanka auditing standard number 570, going concern. Students, in this question, there are multiple uncertainties of going concern which we can identify. Sales coming down, inventory slow moving, cash reserves coming down, losses accumulating, multiple uncertainties of going concern is there. So SLAS 570 says you have to perform relevant audit procedures. Obtain management's preliminary assessment of going concern and evaluate the assumptions used by them. Management check කරනවා ළමයි preliminary assessment එකක්. There's bad ratios. Harshana, very good. Management performs preliminary assessment, no. So obtain their preliminary assessment of going concern and see whether those assumptions are reasonable. Number 2, discuss with the management, discuss with the company lawyer and see whether they have a plan for future. Obtain the most recent cash flow forecast. Obtain the most recent interim financial statements. Read and review the meeting minutes of the board of directors. And finally, last audit procedure with regard to going concern. What is that? හැම වෙලේම audit procedures ඉවර කරන්නේ අන්තිමටම මොන procedure එකෙන්ද? What's the last procedure? Can anyone come up with it? What is the last audit procedure? ඔක්කොම අපි ඉවර කරන්නේ මොකෙන්ද? Management written representation. Ruwan, Nisha, Taraka, very good. Okay, Pramod, written representation. Remember, start කරන්නේ ළමයි from inquiries, then the inspections, and finally finish with management written representations. ඒ order එක ඔළුවේ තියාගන්න හැම වෙලේම. ඒ වගේ පොඩි පොඩි tricks ටිකක් use කරන්න. Use some examination tricks. Okay, shall we write down? Right there. When using SLAS 570, answer to part C. When using SLAS 570, going concern, it seems that there are multiple uncertainties of going concern. Seems that there are multiple uncertainties of going concern. Such as follows. There are multiple uncertainties of going concern such as follows. Number 1, decrease of revenue during current financial year. Decrease of revenue in the current financial year. Number 2, accumulated losses more than rupees 110 million. More than rupees 110 million. Number 3, both short-term and long-term borrowings increasing rapidly. Both short-term and long-term borrowings increase rapidly. Next one, reduce liquidity, reduced liquidity, reduced liquidity due to cash reserves coming down. Another one, company unable to find buyers. Unable to find buyers for its products. Right. Below that, write down, as per SLAUS 570, as per SLAUS 570, the following audit procedure should be performed. The following audit procedure should be performed. The following audit procedure should be performed. Number one, inquire from the management and company lawyers. Inquire from the management and company lawyers comma, the management's action plans. The management's action plans to mitigate the risk of going concern. Management's action plans to mitigate the risk of going concern. Action plans to mitigate the risk of going concern. Number two, second one, inspect the latest available cash flow statement. Inspect the latest available cash flow statement and cash flow forecast. And cash flow forecast to identify the situation of the liquidity portion of the business. To identify the situation of the liquidity portion of the business. Next slide. Next one. Read and review the meeting minutes of board of directors. Read and review the meeting minutes of board of directors. In order to identify their action plans for the going concern issues. Last one. Obtain a management representation. Obtain a management representation from the management stating that management has revealed to the auditors all the going concern issues. Right. Students, go to part D. Look at part D, everyone. Among part D, right now, when you write like this, students, you will get the maximum marks. Maybe the maximum you get the maximum marks. So write in this way. Look at part D. Evaluate the cumulative impact of the above matters on the audit opinion on the financial statements of SS for the year ended 31st March 2023, along with the implication on the auditor's report. You are not required to consider each matter individually. Write the cumulative impact of the matters. මේ matters වල cumulative impact එක බලන්න ඕන. Evaluate the cumulative impact of the above matters on the audit opinion on the financial statements of the SS for the year ended 31st March 2023, along with the implication on the auditor's report. Take them cumulatively. Right. Students, audit reporting. Audit reporting, lamai, there are certain standards which you have to remember mandatorily. Sri Lanka auditing standard number 450, audit review and finalization. Then Sri Lanka auditing standard number 700, audit reporting. SLUS 800, special purpose audit engagements. 701, 705, 720. These standards mandatory. Then students 550, related party transactions. 560, subsequent events. 570, going concern. 580, students, all these are really important. 580, management, confirmations. Written, all these are important lamai. May standards in hondra balaga. So here we have to evaluate the impact on the audit opinion. Shall we read it? The audit team completed. See, audit team completed their work and the following points were noted during your review. These points were noted in your review. The sales reported for the year ended 31st March 2023 included sales relating to April 2023 and May 2023 totaling rupees 34 million. The cost relating to these sales amounted to 27 million. Oh my God, Lamai. See, Pramod, is it mentioning auditing standard essential or not? No. Auditing standard number mentioning it's essential, but if you are quite sure with the standard and the standard number, better to provide it, Lamai, then examiner get the feeling that you know it. Right? What a sure manang standard guy, standard number guy, it shows that you know it, right? But there is no mandatory requirement of putting the standard numbers. Standard numbers mandatory requirement right? Right? Don't write false numbers. Right? Boru numbers too smart right? But if you know it, just put the number. Okay. The sales reported for the year ended 31st March 2023 included sales relating to April 2023 and May 2023 totaling to 34 million. Cost of sales is 27 million. Students, what had happened to sales? Sales overstated and profit overstated or not? How much amount the profit overstated? Profit overstated million. Profit overstatement by 7 million. Refurbishment and repair expenses amounting to 22 million were capitalized under building and plant and machinery as at 31st March 2023. Revenue overstated, cost of sales overstated, profits overstated. Refurbishment of repair and expenses overstated has been capitalized as building, property, plant and equipment. Students, what had happened here? Revenue expenditure capitalized by 22 million. Earlier, profit overstated by 7 million, now 22 million. And an unidentified difference of 25 million was noted between raw material, inventory listing, and the ledger balance. Suspense account 25 million, where the general ledger balance was higher than the amount supported by the detailed listing. The difference had not been reconciled, not supported. There is a difference. Unreconciling item, suspense, no one knows what it is. No one has a clue about it. 25 million. Subsequent to the year end date, 31st March 2023, SS made a payment of 34 million as compensation to employees as part of company restructuring. The restructure plan was approved and communicated to the relevant employees by February 2023. There was no provision made in the financial statements. Provision as at 31st March 2023. The following materiality levels were used in the audit for the year ended 31st March 2023. Overall materiality 25, performance materiality 18.75. So evaluate the cumulative effect of above. Cumulative effect එක ළමයි මේ ඔක්කොගම effect එක ගන්න. First one, profit gone up by overstated 7 million. Asset values overstated by 22 million, 29 million. Unidentified difference 25 million, more than 50 million now, 34 million above. So all these are misstatements that needs amendment. Amend karanna on lamai financial statements. If the management agrees to amend the financial statements, what's your impact on the audit report? Management financial statements agree or not amend karanna. If the management agrees to amend the financial statements, what's the impact on the opinion? Amend karanna agree or not opinion eකට impact එක මොකක්ද? Basit, Pramod, Nisha and all. Very good. No impact, unmodified opinion. If the management disagree, if they disagree, Ruan good, right? If they disagree to amend the financial statements, what's your opinion? Material. So what's the opinion? Modified opinion. Go for a qualified or adverse opinion. Qualify karot lamai, you have to qualify karanna wenawa thank godak, right? You have to qualify many places. So qualification, if you think that it is kind of pervasive as well, go for adverse. Definitely a modified opinion needed if they disagree. Shall we write down the answer? Okay, so write down the overall materiality is rupees 50 million. This is not Vidushan, this is not multiple uncertainty. Going concern issue එකක් නෙමෙයි. Multiple uncertainty එකක් නෙමෙයි. This is not a multiple uncertainty. This is kind of multiple issues, right? So write down the overall materiality is rupees 25 million. The overall materiality is rupees 25 million. And the performance materiality is rupees 18.75 million. And the performance materiality is rupees 18.75 million. Next line. The cumulative effect of all the issues listed pertaining to SS are above both overall materiality and performance materiality. Above both overall materiality and performance materiality. Next line, hence Hence, they have an impact on the economic decisions. Hence, they have an impact on the economic decisions of the users of financial statements. Hence, they have an impact on the overall financial economic decisions of the users of financial statements. So they have an impact on the economic decisions of the users of financial statements. Next line. As such, the auditors shall request. The auditors shall request the management to adjust. Auditors shall request the management to adjust, correct, and make necessary disclosures. For the identified issues. Next line. If the management agrees, for necessary amendments, the auditors shall proceed with an unmodified audit opinion. Auditors shall proceed with an unmodified audit opinion. Next line. If the management does not agree, for necessary amendments, the auditors shall proceed with a modified opinion, with a qualified opinion, or an adverse opinion if needed. If you think, students, you need an adverse opinion, okay, but modification needed, qualified or adverse opinion, as the circumstance may be. Full stop. Okay, right. Students, question number 7. Last question, right? Avasana question. Shall we move on to it? Let's take 1 minute water break, right? Water break. Question number 7. Last question. Let's read the requirement and go ahead, right? Question number 7, part 1 and 2, we will start with it. Okay, students, let's move on. Question number 7, right? The last question. See, part A. Look at the examiner's requirement, right? Evaluate the application of the requirements of Sri Lanka Auditing Standard number 701 in deciding the CAM in draft audit report on ECP Group's financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2023. Students, Sri Lanka Auditing Standard number 701 CAM, key audit matters. Something which are students getting confused. Today also, I think one student called me on this. Students, for any matter that requires a modified opinion, can you put a CAM? Can I have yes or no? For any matter which requires a modified opinion, for that, can you put a CAM? For any matter that requires emphasis of matter, other matter, can you put a CAM? Going concern issue or whatever, can you put a CAM? No, CAMs can be put. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Right? All these are put in where? The basis of opinion, right? Basis for modified opinion. CAMs can be put for only 3 issues. CAMs දාන්න පුළුවන් issues 3යි. What are they? Nisha, yes, good. Significant issues. What are the 3 issues where you can put CAM? Where significant, yes. Duhara, yes, good. Significant, where situations where significant management, Ruan, very good. Significant management judgment. Significant management judgment. When someone uses significant management judgment, then the high risk items and significant events. Very good, Vidushan. Very good. You can put CAM for a matter which is not a modified opinion. Remember that. CAM දාන්න බෑ ළමයි modified වෙන ඒවට වෙනම modifications වා කරගෙන යන්න ඕන. Emphasis of matter also you have to separately do it. CAMs are key audit matters which you identify as per your professional judgment are the most significant items as per the matters communicated to the management and those charged with governance. Management and those charged with governance, you send a management letter. Out of that, the most significant matters you put as CAM. Yes, Nisha, internal control issues you can put as a key risk item, right? Risk item. Remember that. So don't misuse CAM. CAM එක misuse කරන්න එපා. Okay. So that's part 1. Go to Roman number 2. Select the type of audit opinion you would provide if the updated draft financial statement provided by the finance director includes a note adequately disclosing the material uncertainty. Students, අපි ප්‍රශ්න කියවන්න නැතුව without reading the question. When there is an adequate disclosure for material uncertainty in going concern, what's the opinion that you have to provide? If the going concern issue has been adequately disclosed, හරියට disclose කරලා තියෙනවා නම්, what's the opinion that you are going to provide? You put a unmodified opinion, right? With what? Unmodified opinion with a paragraph on material uncertainties on going concern. So probably emphasis of matter, going concern paragraph you can put. Do not include a note on adequate disclosing material uncertainty. Material uncertainty ka disclose kala නැත්තම්. When material uncertainty is not disclosed, what's your opinion? Then it becomes what? එතකොට ඒක වෙනවා, when the material uncertainty not disclosed, it will become a material what? Material what? Material misstatement. Then you go with what? Modified opinion, qualified or adverse opinion. Very good, guys. Qualified or adverse. Ruan, Basit, Nisha, very good, right? ළමයි මතක නැත්තම් බලා ගන්න. If you can't remember, go back to your theory and go through. Shall we read it? කියවද වැඩේ? Read. In the meantime, if you have any doubts, just ask me. I think there is a question that I have to answer from Taraka. Okay. So let's read it, ළමයි. Euro Capital PLC, it's a listed company, is an investment holding company Euro Capital PLC is an investment holding company that controls a number of subsidiaries. They have a number of subsidiaries. It is listed on the Colombo Stock Exchange and is 75% owned by Malaka Pereira. So, 75% this Euro Capital owned by Malaka Pereira. JF Associates had completed the audit of the financial statements of ECP Euro Capital, right? So, audit and its subsidiaries ECP Group for the year ended 31st March 2023. And the engagement team had drafted an unmodified audit opinion. See, engagement team drafted an unmodified opinion. The engagement team had identified going concern fair value of land and buildings and impairment of investment in subsidiaries as significant risk. Students, audit team has identified going concern, fair value of land and buildings, and impairment of investment and subsidiaries as significant risk. And draft audit report, however, only contains going concern as a key audit matter. Students, can you put going concern as a key audit matter? Can or can't? Then can you put going concern as a key audit matter? Going concern, you have a separate paragraph in standard audit report as per SLAS 700. SLAS 700 danuwa going concern වලට ළමයි වෙනම paragraph එකක් තියෙනවා. So can you put CAM as a going concern? Totally out. වැරදි guidance එකක් ඒ ළමයින්ට හම්බෙලා තියෙන්නේ, right? So you can't put going concern as a key audit matter. There's a separate paragraph, so that's out. That's incorrect. The engagement quality review partner believes that there is a material uncertainty over going concern. Material uncertainty over going concern based on the financial position and the performance. So material uncertainty of going concern is there based on financial performance. The engagement partner provided the following explanations during the meeting with the engagement quality review partner. So engagement partner provided following justifications. A letter of support from Malaka, 75% shareholder, was obtained stating that he will provide the required support to ECP Group. So, main shareholder provides a letter of support that he will support ECP Group. JAS Limited had also confirmed that no repayment of foreign currency loan will be demanded until ECP is able to repay the loan. So, other creditors, other lenders also say that they won't request their money. And also main shareholder also students says that any money needed, I will provide the money. So you have a financial support letter. Including going concern as a key audit matter negates the requirement to modify the audit opinion. So putting a key audit matter, this is what engagement partner says. Engagement partner කියනවා. Including a going concern as a key audit matter negates requirement to modify the audit opinion. අපි modify කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ මොකද going concern අපි CAM විදියට දානවා. The CAM included in the audit report is adequate audit documentation on its own. Is that correct? What engagement partner says is correct or incorrect? Modify කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ CAM දාන හන්ද. Correct or incorrect? Can I have your response? Incorrect. Nisha Tarakar, one. Very good. Good job, guys. Now you guys can understand. Basit, very good. As the members of the board were overseas, board of directors were overseas, it was not possible to discuss any matters with those charged with governance. Arishok, right? Engagement partner says, board of directors were overseas, so we were not being able to discuss that with anyone there. See, problem. The problem, right? The significant risks were identified during the planning and adequate work was done when performing audit work. Hence, no further documentation was done to consider those as CAM or not. After performing and documenting the audit work, the audit team has now concluded that going concern assumption is appropriate but there is a material uncertainty prevailing, and the finance director has agreed to provide the updated draft financial statements considering the going concern matter. So, going concern appropriate, but material uncertainty is prevailing. And the finance director has agreed to provide you updated draft financial statements considering going concern matter. Evaluate the application of requirement of SLUS 701 in deciding CAMS in draft audit report of ECP Group financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2023. Students. So what you have to tell to the examiner? Using of CAM is inappropriate. For that, you have to go ahead with the material uncertainty of going concern paragraph. In that, you explain that to the shareholders. So write down. As per SLAUS 701, Part A, Roman number 1, as per SLAUS 701, key audit matter section key audit matter section is included in the audit report for in following circumstances. Included in the audit report in following circumstances. Number 1, areas of higher risk of material misstatements. Number 1, areas of higher risk of material misstatements. And in significant risk areas. And in significant risk areas. Number 2, significant management judgments used. Significant management judgments used. Number 3, the effects of significant events and transactions during the period. Right. However, it has been identified. It has been identified it has been identified that that ECP group ECP group is clearly facing is clearly facing is clearly facing material uncertainties of going concern. Material uncertainties of going concern, and that material uncertainties of going concern, and that there is a financial support. There is a letter of support. There is letter of financial support. There is a letter of financial support available from main shareholder and the lenders. Main shareholder and the lenders. And such going concern matters and such going concern matters and such going concern matters are outside the scope of SLA US 701 key audit matter. And such going concern matters are outside the scope of SLA US 701 going concern matters. SLA 701 key audit matters are outside the scope of SLA 701 key audit matters. Since as per SLAS 570, as per Sri Lanka auditing standard number 570, since Sri Lanka auditing standard number 570, going concern, such matters have to be, such material uncertainties have to be discussed under the going concern paragraph or under emphasis of matter paragraph. Discussed under going concern paragraph or under emphasis of matter paragraph. Furthermore, The auditors have to communicate. Furthermore, the auditors have to communicate. Have to communicate. Have to communicate. Key audit matters. Key audit matters with management and those charged with governance. Auditors have to communicate the key audit matters with the management and those charged with governance, which also was not done by the auditors. Which also was not done by the auditors. Which also was not done by the auditors. Due to non-availability of due to non-availability of due to non-availability of management in the country. Non-availability of management in the country. Therefore, usage of a key audit matter. Therefore, usage of a key audit matter. Section 4, material uncertainties of going concern. Therefore, usage of a key audit matter section. Key audit matter section for material uncertainties of going concern is inappropriate and incorrect. Inappropriate and incorrect. And engagement partner's view is incorrect. And engagement partner's view is incorrect. Engagement partner's view is incorrect. Right. Go to Roman number 2. Select the type of opinion you would provide if the updated draft financial statement provided by the finance director includes a note adequately disclosed in the material uncertainty. Do not include. Write down, students. Roman number 2.1. Roman number 2.1. If the finance director's draft financial statement includes a paragraph with adequate disclosure. Includes a paragraph with adequate disclosure. with adequate disclosure, comma, the auditor shall provide an unmodified audit opinion an unmodified audit opinion an unmodified audit opinion with a paragraph with a paragraph of material uncertainties of going concern which also emphasizes management's disclosures emphasizes management's disclosures. Point number two, second point, this point now, point which do not include the not adequately disclosing the material uncertainty. If there is no disclosure of material uncertainty, so write down, if there is no disclosure of material uncertainty by the finance director, if there is no disclosure of material uncertainty by the finance director, comma, the auditor shall provide a modified opinion due to misstatement with regard to going concern, modified opinion with a misstatement regarding going concern, and proceed with a qualified or adverse opinion. Proceed with a qualified or adverse opinion for inappropriate use of going concern assumption. Full stop, right? A විදියටම ලියන්න. How many marks? 6 plus 4, 10. 10 marks altogether, ළමයි. Right? Easily you can capture. කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව. All these are full toss questions. Very easy questions. If you answer properly, all these are really, really easy questions. Shall we move to the last part, right? අවසාන part එක. Roman number 1, part B. Already? හරිද? Shall we start? Let me have a sip of water. Students, look at part B, Roman number 1. Outline the deficiencies in the confirmation of balances procedure adopted by the audit team. Now, balance confirmation earlier also tested in this paper, again examiner testing, right? Outline the deficiencies in the confirmation of balances procedure adopted by the audit team. The audit team would have used a particular balance confirmation procedure. We have to evaluate whether it is appropriate or not. Part 2, assess the appropriateness of the analytical procedures performed by the audit team to address the completeness assertion. So assertion tested, completeness, we have to see whether analytical procedures are adequate or not. So balance confirmation procedure, we have to evaluate if it is appropriate, and then analytical procedures. See, students. Last part of the paper. Supplies Private Limited, SPL, is a subsidiary of ECP and sells pharmaceutical products. The following information relates to the audit of the financial statements of SPL, Supplies Private Limited, for the year ended 31st March 2023. All the balances mentioned are above the materiality level for the audit. So all balances mentioned here are above the materiality level for the audit. So all balances mentioned here under are above the materiality level for the audit. Confirmation of balances. Since SPL has a strong control environment, calling for balance confirmation is the only substantive test procedure planned for trade receivables and payables. I am asking from you, students. Can we limit our audit procedures only for calling confirmations for receivables? By calling confirmations for receivables, what are the assertions we are testing? Can I have your response? Confirmations call කරලා අපි මොන assertions ද test කරන්නේ ළමයි? Are we testing all assertions from that? No, we are testing existence of debtors as well as what? Complete, not completeness, Basit. Existence we evaluate as well as what? Rights and obligations. Existence and rights and obligations. So completeness, valuation, all these we don't evaluate. So we can't, first of all, do only balance confirmation. Balance confirmation විතරක් කරන් receivables check කරන්න බෑ. Subsequent settlements you have to evaluate. Okay, you have to do some sort of a reconciliation between receivables age analysis as well as the ledger account. Reconciliations has to evaluate the completeness assertion. Subsequent settlements you have to evaluate. Lot of work we have to do. See, the finance manager refused to send confirmations to creditors with long outstanding balances, stating that sending confirmations to such creditors would remind them of the balances and they would request payment from the company. So the company was not paying long outstanding creditors. So management says, finance director says, sending a reminder for confirmation will make them to remind you the payment. So students, can you say like that? Is that request of the finance director appropriate or inappropriate? Can I have your response? Can finance director tell you that like that? Finance director what එහෙම කියන්න පුළුවන්ද? Finance director tell you මේ balance confirmation යවන්න එපා payables වලට for our creditors, because long outstanding creditors, they will again remind of the payment and they will call us back. Can you say like that? You can't, student. Okay. Therefore, the audit team did not send confirmations to trade creditors with long-lasting balance. No further work was performed on these trade creditor balances. No further work was done on them. You don't know whether these were actual credit balances, or you don't know whether these were created creditor balances, fictitious balances. You don't know anything. Right? You don't know anything about it. Right? The risk of material misstatements on trade debtors was determined to be high. Trade debtors risk of material misstatements were determined to be high. Trade debtors consist of a large number of small balances. During the previous year's confirmation process, it was noted that most of the balances had minor differences with the confirmed balances. Further, a significant number of debtors did not respond to the confirmations. Therefore, the audit team decided to send negative confirmations during the current year audit. So last year when debtors were not responded, this year audit team is sending a negative confirmation request. What is negative confirmation? The respondent or the debtor has to confirm you only if they disagree. Disagree now with right. Is it suitable or not suitable? Nisha, you are correct, right? Suitable or not suitable? Not suitable. Suitable nalamai. It's not suitable, right? So ideally, with a random selection of a sample, one very good, right? With a random selection of a sample, you have to call confirmations. Then go to analytical procedures. Again, I'm asking Lamai, right? Again, asking, are these difficult papers? Meva amaru papers da. If someone says chartered is difficult, show them the auditing paper. Chartered amaru auditing paper. It's very easy paper, right? Easy paper. You all can do it, right? It's a very easy paper, students. So examiner is setting a very standard paper, and CS Sri Lanka also getting our service to get yourself cleared all this stuff and get yourself motivated. So everybody, you all can do a very good job, right? So therefore, do not have any hesitancy in your mind, any doubt about your ability. You all can do it, right? So therefore, do it to your maximum. See, analytical procedures. The audit team performed the following analytical procedure on revenue to address the completeness assertion and concluded that there was no material misstatement. Revenue was substantially lower when compared with the previous years. The audit team had concerns whether revenue has in fact been understated. So audit team, even though they had a concern of revenue understated, they still said revenue is fairly stated. Analytical procedure 1. The audit team obtained the monthly total sales value and the sales quantities as per the sales invoices recorded in the sales ledger and agreed them to debtors ledger. The audit team did not find any variances in this regard. Lamai. Now, this is quite absurd, no? When you take the monthly sales value and you compare that with the debtors value, it obviously will be same. Is it appropriate analytical procedures to check completeness? No, what you got to do actually? Revenue test completeness of revenue. To test the completeness of revenue, what you got to do? Take a sample of sales invoices, maybe month of January or February sales invoices batch, and reconcile that with the sales ledger entries. Sales ledger entries ටිකත් එක්ක ළමයි invoice batch එක reconcile කරන්න complete the tester. The audit team compared revenue with the industry data on pharmaceutical market research company website. Audit document consisted the average industry revenue per website compared with SPL's revenue. Audit evidence documented only state that the management is not aware of the reasons for the variances as they had not been part of the industry analysis published in the website. So they compared the data with the industry analysts. So no use. Monthly sales quantities were compared with monthly purchase quantities as a trend analysis. Audit documents consisted the reasons for variances explained by the accountant. So accountant's explanation, internal evidence invalid. So shall we write down the answer? Outline the deficiencies in the confirmation of balances procedure adopted by the audit team. So first one, write down answer. Deficient as a heading, deficiencies in balance confirmations. Deficiencies in balance confirmations. Write down. Number one, the audit team should evaluate. The audit team should evaluate the reason for audit team should evaluate the reason for management's refusal for calling confirmations. Refusal for calling confirmations from long overdue debtors. From long overdue debtors. Refusal for calling for confirmation from creditors, students. Sorry, calling of confirmations from creditors. And try to obtain and perform further audit procedures. Try to obtain and perform further audit procedures such as subsequent settlements of creditor balances by the company, such as subsequent settlement of creditor balances by the company. And if other audit procedures and if other audit procedures do not do not provide adequate evidence, comma, the auditor shall evaluate the integrity of the management. The auditor shall evaluate the integrity of the management and evaluate the impact on the opinion. Evaluate the impact on the opinion. Number 2. Second one, students, debtors negative confirmations, right? Number 2, sending of negative confirmations. Sending of negative confirmations based on a previous year. Based on a previous year minor differences. Based on a previous year minor differences. At a time, risk of misstatements is high on debtors. Previous year's minor misstatements. At a time, risk of material misstatements high on debtors. At a time, risk of misstatements high on debtors, comma, the auditors should have proceeded with. Auditors should have proceeded with a positive confirmation request. You would have gone with positive confirmation, no? Auditors should have proceeded with a positive confirmation request. Auditors should have proceeded with a positive confirmation request. Positive confirmation request with positive confirmation request with a random selection of data sample. With a random selection of data sample. Okay, right. Let's go to Roman number 2. Roman number 2. We will discuss about that analytical procedures, right? In order to test, Roman number 2, in order to test the completeness assertion. Test the completeness assertion. Which wanted to test whether all items that should have been recorded, whether all items which should have been recorded are actually recorded. And the appropriateness of the analytical procedures performed. And the appropriateness of analytical procedures performed. Write down AP1. Api one by one balabulamai. We'll take one by one. AP1. Analytical procedure 1. So write down. It is not appropriate, right? What they have done, monthly total sales value of and sales quantities as per invoiced, they reconcile with debtors ledger. So write down reconciliation and comparison of sales records with debtors balances, to evaluate the completeness of sales, to evaluate the completeness of revenue. To evaluate the completeness of revenue is inappropriate. It will not identify whether sales are completely recorded in general ledger. Number 2, write down number 2, AP2, analytical procedure number 2. We are discussing this. Comparison of industry data with client data comparison of industry sales data with client data, comparison of industry sales data with client data is appropriate, but there are no evidence and management is not aware of the variances. And management is not aware of the variances. Hence, more audit procedures required. Because you don't have any evidence. Hence, more audit procedures required. Last one, third one, right? Last answer for the paper. Analytical procedure 3. Performing trend analysis of sales and purchase quantities. Performing trend analysis of sales and purchase quantities will not identify. Performing trend analysis of sales and purchase quantities will not identify the appropriateness of revenue. The appropriateness of revenue. Hence, it will not test the completeness assertion. It will not test the completeness assertion. Full stop. And there was a question from Taraka, right? Is that accuracy assertion in account balances, is it same with the class of transactions? Yes, Taraka, we evaluate the mathematical, arithmetical accuracy of the figures, right? So therefore, both are almost same. There can be slight differences, but we normally evaluate the arithmetical accuracy of the account balances and transactions. So, but in account balances, we have a valuation assertion where we value the asset, right? It's a valuation. And here we have the accuracy. But if you take accuracy in both, it's the normal mathematical and arithmetical accuracy we evaluate. Okay, so last session and this session, students, we have evaluated and we have written full answers for entire paper of your June 2023. I think from our end, CS Sri Lanka end, we have put our 100% effort, right? We put our 100% effort to evaluate and do the paper, students. So once again, if you have any doubts, right, during this time while you are studying, when you study only, students, you get the doubts, right? So therefore, if you get the doubts, anytime you can contact us. I think almost all of you have my contact number as well. So anytime, contact us and get your matters sorted and doubts cleared. Okay. So students, this paper is a very easy paper if you go through, right? When you go through and when we answer strategically, it's a very easy paper, right? Сайн lazy paper එකක් ළමයි. We know for a fact that all of you can do it easily, right? But only thing, have a strategy and go to the paper and answer it, right? Don't go without a strategy to the exam hall, because students, strategy will give you that much of competitive edge, right? Strategy ke podi edge එකක් දෙනවා. So you can earn the prize even for this subject without any problem. So everybody, all of you, I wish you all the very best, students, for your exam. And again, I'm thanking the CS Sri Lanka team led by Aruna and Lakmali and all. So thank you very much, guys. So until the examination, you all can call me, right? Get your matters sorted out. And you all, in the coming few days, right? There are a few more days left. Put your 100% effort, right? Put the 100% effort. If you put 100% effort and if you answer for 100 marks, for the entire paper without omitting any question, you can easily pass this paper, right? So therefore, students, keep in touch, everybody. I know all of you will succeed. All of you have the courage to succeed, students. So get your marks and get yourself done and dusted this paper. All the best, guys. So good night to all of you, and we will meet up one day as members of CS Sri Lanka, everybody. Thanks a lot. Thank you.